Hello, welcome to this TIMS data analysis training video. In this video, you will learn how to use the merge module of the IDB analyzer to combine files from different countries and sources. In this video, you will learn how to combine data from different TIMS countries, create files combining data from different sources, such as school, mathematics teachers, and science teachers, and how to save those files. Information about downloading and installing the IDB analyzer is presented in a separate video. So before you start, you'll need to have all the TIMS files unzipped and stored in the same directory. And you want to create a separate directory where you will save the merge file. So we're going to do that. So I'm going to first, here's the directory where we downloaded all the files. I'm going to create here a folder called work. And I like to call it work for two reasons, because I'm going to put here the work that we do, but also it sorts towards the end, so there's no W, X, Y, Z, there's nothing after that, so it shows up at the bottom. The other thing is I'm going to go to the data directory, and I'm going to unzip the files. On here I have them already unzipped. This is for grade 4. So I unzipped I'm going to work with the SPSS files, but the IDB analyzer works exactly the same with SAS or with SPSS. So I'm going to be working with the SPSS files, and you'll see that you have them all here. This is grade 4. And I'm actually going to export grade 8 because most countries participate in grade 8. So I'm going to have the grade 8 files in that directory. And just like in a cooking show, we're done. So I want to show you, before we had all these A files here, and now we have a bunch of B files. So the A files, the files that start with the letter A, they are grade 4 files. The ones that start with the letter B are grade 8 files. And that's how you will distinguish them. So now we're going to load the IDB analyzer. And I'm going to show you how to work with the merge module. So we're going to select SPSS, merge module, and this will open the merge module. And I have already I had opened it before, so now it's going to know where the files are. But you could do here select, and you will navigate to where the files are, in this case the data folder. Notice also that it tells you here grade 4, but also knows that grade 8 files are there. So you could select grade 4 or grade 8 files. Again, the reason why you can do that is that the grade 4 and the grade 8 files are both in the same directory. And it will know that these are TIMS 2019 files and grade 8 as well. In the next step, you're going to be in, here you see the numbers, select directory, available participants. And we're going to select files from a few countries. And what we're going to do is I'm going to select the files from countries that participants in this training are attending. So we have Ireland, we have Japan, we have United States, and let's pick another one, Lithuania. And do we have Germany here? We do not have, no, we have no German. So Ireland, Japan, Lithuania, USA, and Singapore, 5 countries. You can edit the country list if you want. So if you want to change the name, so for example, you want to call Belgium, you want to call this Belgica in Spanish, you could do that. I'm not going to do that and leave it in English. But you can, enter the names of the country in your language. In the next step, I'm going to do two things. So we're going to do next, we selected the countries. Now we want to create a file that will contain student background data, and we're going to combine it with the school background data. So I'm going to do the following. I'm going to do student background. It's going to show me all the student background variables here. I'm going to move them over to the right. And then school background, and I'm going to move them over to the right. Okay, so you can check here that you have school variables. School variables have a letter C here. Student variables have the letter S here. The sampling variables are pre-selected for you. And you should also have here plausible values here. So the scores, the achievement scores. And I'm going to save this file. I'm going to call it subset 5 countries. You can call anything. And I'm going to save this file in the work directory. And I'm going to also do here student and school. So this is a file that has student and school data in it. Save. And then I do start SPSS. This will bring up SPSS. If you're working in the SAS version, this will start SAS. And if you look here in your work directory, you will see that it wrote here a file called subset 5 countries, student and schools, SPS. That file is here. And when you run it, you can do run all or Control A followed by Control R. Run all. And you'll see here what happens. It'll create some temporary files. And then once it's done, you'll create a file called subset 5 countries, students and school SAV. So this is the file that we're going to be working with the analysis module. We can also create a file with student and teacher data. And to do that, we can choose to include the school or data or not. Let's do now something with the math teacher data. And we'll do the same thing. We'll move the variables to the right. And now notice that I am not allowed to choose science and teacher. So when you're working with the teacher data, you have to choose in grade 8, you have to choose either the math teachers or the science teachers. You cannot work with both. So okay, so I'm going to check. I have school background variables. I have student background variables. And I have math teacher variables, and they have a little T in the second character here. So I'm going to call this subset 5 countries and math teacher. Same thing, start SPSS and run all. And if you watch here, you'll see that it's creating the temporary files. And it's going to save math teacher file right here. Okay, So these files, these temporary files, you can simply delete them. They're not necessary. And the other thing that you can do is once you, this syntax here remains in the directory. So you can delete these files here, any of the SPSS files, and you can always execute the syntax independent from the IDB analyzer. Notice that once you're done processing, there will be the data file open will be empty, so you won't be able to see anything there. But you will have a log of the processing where you can check to see if there were any errors. And here we see just basically a long list of variables that were merged into the file. And if you want to see what was in the files, you go to your work directory and let's open this students and school file, variable view. And you'll see that here you have all the variables that are in the file, the student files. You have the labels here. The weights, weight variables, start weight, the plausible values. And as you scroll down, you'll have these school variables. And last, this is the student and school. So if you were opening the the file with the teacher data, you will get the teacher variables as well. So basically, when using the merge module, you will need to determine which countries you want to work with, which files you want to work with, students and school files alone, students and mathematics teachers, students and science teachers, or a combination of the three, and also which variables you want to work with. In the example that I just gave you, I selected 5 countries, and I created 2 files, one with the student and school data, and one with the student, school, and math teacher data. And I also selected all variables in the files rather than pick a few of them. I selected all of them to go into the file. In terms of what's next, if you're going to create new variables to work with and add them to the file, now is the time to add them. Otherwise, you can go on to use the analysis module. We only recommend adding or creating new variables after merging is completed, and this is because of the way the merge module operates. It might not recognize the variables that you're adding to the files. The file that's created with the merge module can be used with any other software application of choice that reads SPSS or SAS, whichever software you used to create the file. And one last point, I've done the demo with SPSS, but the SPSS and SAS versions of the IDB analyzer work in exactly the same way, except that the syntax created conforms to the corresponding statistical software, and therefore you will notice some difference in the syntax, but the instructions and the results are exactly the same. One last point, going back to the IDB analyzer. Once I create the files, if I return to the main menu, select Analysis module, then what you'll see is that the IDB analyzer will automatically fill in the last file that you created with the merge module. So that's what you see right here. So going back to, and then once you're in the analysis module, we'll see this in a separate video. You can select the analysis type, the statistics type, and so on. Thank you. We hope you enjoyed this video and learned something new. For questions about the contents of this video, please ask us by email by writing to egonzalez@ets.org or falk.brace@iahamburg.de, or ask us during our next online session.
This video was created for the academies held by the IEA ETS Research Institute. Any commercial use of this video is prohibited unless explicitly authorized in writing by the Institute or its funders. Funding for the Institute comes from the International Association for the Evaluation of Educational Achievement and the Educational Testing Service.